The difference between the rich and the poor is what they know. So if you can't teach yourself the lessons and the skills that you need to know in order to hit your goal, you'll never hit it and you'll be among the poor. And every opportunity you get to learn involves someone else, be it through a book, experiencing something in real life, videos, a mentor, anything. There's always someone else involved in the learning process. So of course you need to be on the lookout for the moments, and whenever the moment does come up, I always realize a lot of people, the reason that they don't learn or they don't get what they want from the experience is because they just don't listen. They hear what's being said, but they don't listen. They respond with, okay, sure, right, and whatever, but they don't actually believe it. They're not going to use it in their day-to-day. They're not going to remember it. They're not actually thinking that it's going to work. They don't think that it's true. I don't know if some people just think that you don't know what you're talking about, or they think that they're special or whatever. Some people are just like that. And those are the people who just don't get it. So firstly, you need to get the ego, the arrogance, the I'm special thinking out of the way, because that will not help you. Because you can learn from everyone. In probably one of the most famous books ever, How to Win Friends and Influence People, there's this one quote by Ralph Waldo Ralphson, something along the lines of that. And in the book, he says along the lines of, every man is my superior in a way that I can learn from him. And if someone like that is admitting that everyone has something to teach him, who are we or you to say that you don't need to listen to someone? The only exception that I would make to this is that I don't listen to anyone who isn't going for the same goals as me, or who isn't headed in the same direction as me, or who isn't where I want to be. And I know I'm super contradicting myself by even saying this, but that's just the way that I've been going about it. Like if you want to be a successful businessman or a successful salesman, you will not listen to some socialist, communist, mixed type of person telling you what to do. You just will not listen to that. If you want to be an NBA player or a pro sports player, you're not going to listen to a fat woman. Or if you want a happy family, you're not going to listen to some hoe. You get the point. You just don't listen to people that you don't want to turn out like, or that you don't want to live the lives of. Or maybe you could listen to them, but use what they're saying as what not to do, which in that case, I would realize that I'm wrong and the person who quoted the thing is still right. So maybe I should have listened. So that's first. Genuinely listen and understand what other people are telling you. And hopefully you have good people around you, a mentor, a teacher, good family, good friends, because you can't learn by yourself. The biggest part of learning is who you're around when you're not in the learning environment, or when you're not at work learning with the people around you. If your friends are potheads, hoes, just idiots in general, whatever you learn at work or whatever someone tells you about becoming better in life, as soon as you go back to those lower level of people, whatever you learn will just go straight out of your brain, because those people are not talking about the same things that you want to get better at and what you're focusing on. And a good way of going about finding new friends, finding groups of people to hang around with, if especially in real life there isn't a bunch of people around you, is definitely online. The one that I would recommend to you is my Discord server, because you get to talk with everyone else in there as well as me. And chances are, if you're watching this video, we're fairly similar, so it just makes the most sense to start there. And especially in the beginning, it's extra weird to go through this process, because when you are first starting out, the friends that you're with, when you're trying to get better, you outgrow them pretty quick. But the group that you want to be with, you're too low to actually be hanging around them. So you're kind of in this middle, and you have to go through this lonely season. And a lonely season is where you just cut off the bad friends and you just focus on learning through online, through books, courses, other mentors, just people around you, and you just go balls to the wall with work, making money, etc. Like that's what I did before I got my first job in sales, and then I also went through another lonely period before I started my first business too. And honestly, going through these lonely periods is the best thing that you can do, because this completely filters out the people below you, the people that aren't focused on the same things as you. And this really clears up your head from all the other thoughts of the other people who aren't trying to get the same things as you. And these periods, they normally last anywhere from like 3-4 months to maybe a year tops. But don't cut off contact from the real world. Like keep going to the gym, keep talking to random people whenever you can, compliment, do whatever. Because if you don't do that, you're going to become an unsocial creep, and those people never really make friends with anyone, even if they are super smart. And slowly, you're just going to start getting around better people. It's weird saying this, but it's true. They just appear in your lives. Maybe you don't even talk to them first. They'll talk to you first, but it just happens as you get better, because you attract what you are. That's why all the losers are hanging out with each other, and that's why you see all the millionaires hanging out with each other too. Like attracts like. And I know this is wishy-washy, but the energy that you have in you, the way that you think, all these things, they bounce off of others, and you'll only attract what you are. Energy and attraction and law of attraction, things along the lines of these, look into them. I'll put a few things right here that I would suggest you start searching up after this video. All these things are real, and all these things were huge parts of the reason of why I succeeded in business in my first year, as well as my first job and continuing on with business. It's all because of these things. These things play a very big part in it. And really quick, if you've been enjoying the video, if you could please subscribe, that would literally mean the world, because right now the goal is 1,000 subscribers by summer, and we're pretty far, but if you could help out with that, that literally means so much to me. Thank you. And lastly is what you do with the knowledge that you do end up learning. Because if you just have it in the back of your head, it's useless. It doesn't get you anything in life. So you and now your new group of friends, if you had to find them, need to have a way of practicing what you're learning. Whether that's, I don't know, talking to girls, which I've of course mastered, sales, marketing, posting, driving engagement with these things, etc., whatever that is, you need to find a way to start doing this without any risk or very low amounts of risk in the beginning. Like say you guys are getting into crypto, you and your friends. You're not just gonna put all of your life savings into it hoping that it's gonna work out. No matter how much belief you have in yourself or anything, that just is stupid. You shouldn't do that. Instead, we start off with smaller numbers, or if you're doing something else, you start off with a smaller number of people, or whatever you're doing, do it on a smaller scale, and then document all of this. Write it down on a notes tab on your phone, record yourself on voice memos, whatever it is, record what goes right, what goes wrong, the thought process behind them, and how people reacted to these. When I sell, or when I'm training someone on how to sell, I'm very, very conscious about what I'm saying, how I'm saying it, and my body language, as well as how people react to all of these things, like my body language, tonality, and what words I say. And based on their reactions to that, I know whether to remove something, tweak it a little bit, or keep it in there. Whatever you're doing, you just need to document and write down what's going right and what's going wrong, because what's working for your mentor or your friend may not work for you, because you guys are different people and you have different, I guess, kind of personalities or whatever. But what works for someone else may not work for you, and that's okay. That's why we're doing this testing, to find out what actually sticks. And at this point, while you're testing these things, go straight back to your friends and your group or who you're working with and teach them how you went about doing it. Teach them what went right, the thought process that you used, and how you got to that idea. Essentially, you just teach them. And then this kind of goes into an entire circle back of what we were talking to in the beginning, because the people around you, they're going to need to be able to listen, and they will also give you more feedback to learn from. And then this eventually ends up building this kind of hyper learning box. I don't know what to call it, but you all learn, you all teach, because you all just keep learning from each other as well as just from elsewhere. And then as you teach it, you just learn more by teaching. I remember when I was first reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, there was this one graph. I'll pop it up right here. I don't think he actually made it, but it's called the learning pyramid. And the lowest level of learning is listening to a lecture. The second is reading, third is audio, fourth is video, something along the lines of that. And that's all passive learning. The parts where you actually are able to remember over 50-60% of everything that's being taught and talked about is active things, as in group discussions, practicing it, doing it in real life, which is what we were talking about with in the beginning. You go in with small amounts of risk, and the way that you learn the most is actually by teaching. You memorize about 90 to 95% of everything that you teach to someone else, even if you're just reading it off. Quick recap: firstly, get the arrogance and the ego out of the way and be able to listen, because without listening, you'll get nowhere in life. Get around a better group of people. Third, practice and implement what you're learning. And lastly, teach what gets you results. This is essentially how I went about the entire transformation, and I'm sure you're in one of those stages, so I'm sure this can help you out too. With everything being said, I want to say thank you for watching the entire video. It honestly means a lot to me. Enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good one. Bye-bye.